we are in the midst right now, not only of a pandemic, but this the Black Lives Matter movement that it's been around for a while. Going back to St. Louis, when was that? 6 years ago, Ferguson.
Yeah.
But boy, since George Floyd's murder, this has really taken off and being not just an African American movement, but in the last couple of weeks we've seen NASCAR banning Confederate flags and NFL apologizing to Kaepernick and the makers of Aunt Jemima syrup and Uncle Ben's rice starting to rethink this. There's a big movement going on. Assuming that you think we have a race issue in this country, what could you as a representative do to help smooth this out and find a new way forward, a new narrative?
You know, this experience that we as a country are living through in the last few weeks has been heart and soul opening for me too, as I search, as I'm sure all 330 million of us are having an occasion to deal with what I call the original sin of our nation's experiment to create democracy. So going back to the origins of Europeans arriving in Virginia and wanting to create a democracy, or thinking they did, 1609 or 1619, we had the appearance of people who were from Africa sold to labor in bondage. And that's carried on, and it's been part of our experience. And so you hope that what we're seeing is maybe a turning of a page in a way that we appear to have turned a page with the Me Too movement, or we have turned a page with the equality of marriage movement. And maybe are we able to turn a page today in a way, sort of social phenomenological thing, you know. I hope it's true. But given our long history and our tendency to always sort of get back into our original sin, I keep my guard up. One thing that I have learned is that when we talk about racism, for me, I've recognized that I've had it backwards. You know, I think that too often our frame is that we need to help us whites, so to speak. I am white, and I am of that ethnic group, the dominant, sort of the most powerful part of our population, thinks that it has to do things to allow others to come up to our level, so to speak. You know, they're economically depressed, and they need to have advantages. And what I've realized is that that's wrong. The problem with racism isn't other ethnic groups being disadvantaged. The problem of racism is that one ethnic group feels it has special rights and feels that it has special opportunities that it deserves. And we call that white supremacy. And that is the original sin. It's not Africans coming and being held in bondage. The original sin is we created a white race back in the 17th century. And once we created that whiteness, we wanted to dominate and hold on to it. And so the real fear of Black Lives Matter is to say, you mean I'm not superior? That's the real threat. When you say somebody else, their life matters. No, hold it, they got to become white. They can't meet. The African American community has a rich history and has a rich, appreciation of its membership in our America, that this country is their country. I think that from the perspective of an African American heritage, I don't need to become white. I just want you to quit oppressing me. Would you just stop trying to make me not be who I am? If you would just leave us alone, we'll be fine. But no, your existence and your full life, your opportunity to thrive in your African American heritage threatens me because it's not white. Why do you think you can do that and call yourself American and say this is your country? So you have to stop doing that. And so we oppress. And once we oppress, we kill. Making limits like tolerance is not that. It's not right. It's not adequate. When we tolerate the other, the wall is still there.
Right.
The only solution for racism, the only solution for fear of the other, is to transcend that, break that wall down, and say, I want to receive you into my home with an attitude of hospitality. I'm not becoming you. You're not becoming me, but I'm appreciating you and your heritage. Like, Bedouin, sheep herders. When they would see another human being after months of living with the sheep, they would say, come into my tent.
Yes.
I want to receive you and learn about where you've been and what your life is. I need to express hospitality to you because it's so important to me. This is the way that we solve our racism issue, is stop being white supremacists and strive to love and appreciate the other heritage that isn't mine. Don't try to make it mine. Don't try to make my heritage. Our history of having to take Native American children to try to make them white is such a horrible example of what I'm saying, where we wanted to kill, and it's genocide without physically killing people. We wanted to kill that ethnic tradition, that heritage, which is, for all practical purposes, it is genocide. And that's the solution to our racism.